Hey folks, welcome back to Only the Best Fantasy Novels. My name is Robin, and today I want to talk about Empire of the Damned, the second book in the Empire of the Vampire trilogy by J. Kristoff. And if you think the first book was dark and edgy and intense, wait till you read this one. It's it's escalated to the point where I just now plain find this amusing, and I'll delve into why in a bit. What is this book about? So this is the second book that it continues like Gabriel de Leon's just the extraordinary tale of his life. Like at this point, the Holy Grail is secured, and but at the same time, they've lost the ability to be able to end the Forever Night. As a result of that, like Gabriel makes a very questionable alliance with an even more questionable ally, and they decide to travel together to the last remaining group of entities who might have a solution to the situation that humanity is in. But of course, like it's a journey that's going to be extremely fraught with danger, and the Forever King isn't going to sit idly by, and just like the Forever Empire's minions, I should say, aren't just going to sit idly by and let Gabriel potentially bring their dominance to an end. So like first things first, this book is every bit as entertaining as the first, even more so in some ways. Like J. Kristoff, he continues the pattern of having a historian pull the story out of Gabriel de Leon, and it continues all the things that like all the narration techniques that we saw in the first book, with Gabriel essentially narrating a story, jumping around in terms of timeline, giving us snippets that he'll delve into further on, and these kind of things. It just continues to engage us and tease us in all that way, in that way. Where it gets interesting is that we learn the historian actually has a second prisoner, and this second prisoner was also present for much of the events that Gabriel's narrated so far. And it adds a twist because Gabriel's no longer the single source of truth for the story that we've learned to date. Through this second POV, we get an alternate take on events, and oftentimes things don't quite play out the way that Gabriel say they are. So it introduces an element of unreliability to it that was really fun. In addition to that, it adds quite a bit more tension to the present day storyline, the present day storyline of the different storylines that are incorporated in the book, as the historian essentially has to now juggle between these two prisoners, and we get more and more, we find out more and more about this entire situation and what's happening here. So there's that. And now the reason why I say I find this amusing, so like as established in the first book, this world is just dark and terrible and unforgiving. Like humanity is basically driven to extinction by the vampires, and Gabriel's life, as a looking back on his life from what we've seen so far, is just one long trail of violence and death and misery, broken here and there with a few moments of like genuine joy and peace that ultimately don't last, which is why he is where he is. The vampire society as itself is just dark, savage, and utterly inhuman. Like these are creatures who have now gone beyond humanity. Their instincts, their personalities, they're warped. They're very different, and that's before we even factor in the way that immortality and age has just changed their psyche for the worse. So there's all of that. So J. Kristoff took pains to make sure we understood in the first book that this world is just dark and edgy and dangerous and horrible, and humanity stands no chance here. And over the course of this book, like we see humans subjugated to some pretty terrible things, and it just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating to the point where after a while I just couldn't take it seriously anymore. Like minor spoiler, I don't I'll say minor spoiler. I don't think anyone really would consider it a spoiler, but we do encounter a character who, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to make clothing out of the skin of dead human babies. Like, at that point, I was just like, okay, this is edgy and dark to the point of ridiculous. Like, I get it as a fashion statement, whatever, but come on, come on, bro. So yeah, at that point, like I just can't take this seriously anymore. Not that it harmed my enjoyment of the story, mind you. Like these books, they're fun, they're intense, they're action packed. The character stories, the character arcs are just really engaging to follow, and just the mystery of how things are going to play out, and that kind, like it's just really compelling to keep going. There's quite a bit of action included. It's not that bad, but yeah. But like, so it's just a fun book. Okay, that's really all it is. It's just a fun book. Darkness aside, like the plot twists in particular, because there are some plot twists in here. They aren't particularly mind bending. Like with the way that things played out, you can pretty much guess what's going to happen, and Kristoff doesn't even try to surprise you in that way. So yeah, like it's just a really fun book in its own dark, hilariously edgy way. I'm sorry, I know this book has quite a big fandom, and I'm probably gonna get reeled at for not taking it seriously because of how dark and depraved it is. But yeah. What else can I say? What else can I say about this book? Like, I'm looking forward to the third one, like everyone else, and yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about Empire of the Damned. Like, just another fun installment in what's been a surprisingly fun series, and yeah, I guess that's it. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.